Hi folks, Joey P with Joey P Photography here with another Photoshop tutorial. Today we're going to go over some of the enhancements that I do to the eyes in my images. They say that the window to the soul is the eyes, so pay attention. We're going to run through here kind of quick and show you what I do to take an image that starts like this and finishes like this. Gives it a little bit of depth and a little bit more contrast to the images. Okay, so first things first, let's start all over here. What I like to do is I start with a brand new layer here. So I use Command Option Shift N on a Mac, and I'm sure it's Control Alt Shift N on your PC. We're going to go over to your shape tool down here, and we're going to grab the ellipse tool, and we're going to go zoom right in here on the eye. We're going to start right in the middle by the pupil here, and you're going to hold down the Shift and Option key, or Shift and Alt on your PC, and we're going to drag this out right to the edge of the eye, just like this. And then we're going to go up here. We're going to make sure that the fill is turned off, and we're going to change the stroke to black, and we're going to make the weight here about 1 pixel. Okay, so it's going to look like that. Okay, it looks kind of bland and fake and everything, but and whatnot, but what are you going to do, right? The next step we're going to do is we're going to go into Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. It's going to ask you to rasterize the shape. You say OK. And we're going to put a blur on there of about, let's see, what's 4 look like? 4 is a little much, so 3 seems like the winner. And we're going to hit OK. And then now what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate the layer. So Command J on a Mac, Control J on a PC, and we're going to grab our Move tool here, and we're going to drag this one right over, and let's line it up good. If it hangs over the eyelids like that, that's fine. I'll show you why here in a second. So now that we've got both of those lined up there and hanging over the edge, we're going to group these two together. So hold down Control or Command to select both of them. And on a Mac, it's Command G to group them together. And we're going to rename this one Rings, just so we know what we're dealing with here. Once they're together there, we're going to go down, we're going to go down to your mask, and we're going to add a mask to the layer here. Then we're going to grab our brush tool over here, and we are on a white masks, so we want to make sure that our brush we're painting with black, and we are going to paint away right on the eyelids where everything goes over. Okay. We'll do the same to the other eye right here. Okay, so there's a little bit of it. We can stand back and see kind of what a difference it makes, just enhancing the ring around the iris there. Okay, the next step I like to do, which sometimes you can do it first, but we go back to the background layer. We're going to duplicate the layer, Command J to duplicate it, and we're going to change the blending mode to soft light, and that's going to add a ton of contrast to it. Okay, almost too much contrast. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go back down by the mask tool again, but before we click it, we're going to hold down the Options key or Alt key, and that's going to invert the mask. So when I paint, it's just going to paint in the effect that I need. So since this is a black mask, we want to make sure we're painting with white. So we're going to switch our brush to white here, okay? I'm going to zoom in really close, and we are just going to paint in just the iris itself here, okay? And we're going to do the same thing on this one over here. Now it is, it's a little dark for my taste here, so very contrasty, but what we're going to do is we're going to go up to your opacity, and we're going to drop the opacity slider down to, say, I don't know what looks nice, like 30%. Yeah, let's see here. Oh, it went to 0. No wonder I can't see anything. Okay, let's see here, go up one more, hit OK, and let's see here. So it adds just a little bit of contrast there. Good, it keeps the ring. Then the next step that I'm going to do is we're going to add another layer here. We're going to do very similar to this ring. So again, it's going to be Command, Options, Shift, and N for a new layer here, or Control Alt Shift N on your PC. And we're going to grab our ellipse tool again. And we're going to go back just like what we're doing when we did this ring around the iris here. We're going to start in the middle by the pupil. We're going to hold down Shift and Option, and we're going to bring it up to just about halfway in between the pupil and the edge of the iris here. And again, it's going to show up white. This time we want it white though, okay? And I'll show you why. We're going to go to make sure that fill is still crossed out. We're not using anything to fill it. We're going to just focus on the stroke here, and we're going to keep it white. And instead of it being at 16 here, we're going to take it down to 1. Perfect. Just like that. And you're going to say, wow, that looks really weird. But it'll all start to make sense here shortly. Okay. So what we're going to do, again, we're going to go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and again, it's going to ask us to rasterize the shape. We say OK. Now it's blurry like that. 3 seems to be the magic number for this image itself, and you can change it all depending on how realistic you want this image to look. Okay, we're going to take our Move tool and just make sure it's kind of like right where we want it there. And we're going to duplicate the layer again. So we're going to do Command J on your Mac, or Control J on your PC. And with our Move tool, we're going to move it on over to this one here. There, how's that look? Still looks really weird and really creepy, but like I said, I promise it will make sense, being that this second one here is on the darker side of the face due to the shadow. We should probably drop the opacity just a little bit, drop it by 20%, so perfect. So what we're going to do, again, the same thing like the rings here, we're going to hold down our Command button while we select both of these layers here, and then hit Command G to group them, or Control G on your PC. And we are going to select a mask again so we can paint this one here. We're going to grab our brush tool here, and since we have a white mask, we are going to be painting with black. And we are going to make it kind of big here, and what I want to do is just paint away completely in half, just like that. So you have only the bottom edge of that showing there. If you do a little too much, don't feel bad. You can always go back to white here and paint back in any colors that you think you may have overdid it just a little bit. Okay. And again, with this one being, in the group here, let's see here, we want to take the opacity and kick that down to, let's see here, I like the way that looks, so let's kick it to 50 here. Okay, so now, now it has given you quite a bit of depth to the eye itself. We can back out and show you kind of the difference here, back and forth. And same thing, like I said, when you zoom out, the eyes have much more depth than they used to. Okay, what I like to do from here is create another layer, or I should say combine all the layers. So the shortcut on your Mac is Command, Option, Shift, and E, and that's going to merge all the layers together onto one layer here. So it would be Control, Alt, Shift, and E for your PC. And we want to add just a little bit of sharpening now. So if you go over to your Sharpen tool, or is the Blur tool, Sharpen tool, and Smudge tool, go to the Sharpen tool and take your strength down to about, I don't know, 30%. 30. Okay, and usually 1 or 2 quick passes over the top will suffice. Okay, and you can see the difference here. Let's do it once more here and once more here. And if you zoom out and If it does look a little too much, you can always adjust it with your opacity slider, but I like the way it looks. And then last but not least, what I like to do is I like to combine everything together into one. Excuse me. So I hold down my command button, control on a PC, and I'm going to select all the edited layers, and I'm going to group all those together. So command G to group, and then all together you can adjust the opacity slider. Remember, editing, it's fun and artistic. You do kind of still want it to look real. So what I like to do is I always just like to dial back the opacity just a little bit when all's said and done, so it can still be believable there. And that's what I do to my eyes to give them a little bit more contrast and make them a little bit more real looking. I suppose we can do one more edit to this to kind of make them pop a little bit more here. And what I do is I go up to the adjustments shortcuts here, and I go to the one for exposure, and the exposure I take to, whoops, what was my magic number? So I do about 0.3 here, with your offset about 0.005, and then your gamma correction is 0.85, and hit OK. And then what I do is I invert the mask here. So I'm going to hit, options? No, I'm sorry, Control I to flip it. And then I'm going to use a white brush, and we're going to paint in right on the eyes here. Oh, no, I'm still using my sharpening tool. We're going to use the brush. Sorry about that. And we're going to paint in on the eyes here. And what this is going to do, I don't know if you can see it, it gives it almost like a wet appearance to the eye to make it look like there's like a layer of tears going over the eye to make it just a little bit more believable. And that's what I do. So again, there's your beginning. Started off great anyway, and we just enhanced them a little bit there. So hope you enjoyed watching this video. For more tips and tricks, keep an eye on my channel. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and let me know what you think down in the comment section below. I'm always interested for a new challenge, so if you have an idea of what you'd like to see done, feel free to leave me some feedback in the comment section below. And until next time, enjoy the rest of your day.